I can't mimic voices for love or money. I'm completely hopeless at it. I've never been able to master the art of mimicry.
When historians and officials began carefully opening the trunks, the truth was even more shocking. Inside were letters written in Princess Diana's own handwriting. Some were addressed to Charles, some to her sons William and Harry, and others to people within the palace. These letters revealed Diana's deep pain, her struggles with betrayal, and her warnings about the future. They were not simple notes. They were emotional cries from a woman who had felt trapped inside the monarchy. Among them was one envelope that stood out. It was sealed and marked simply, "For William, when ready." That discovery alone carried enormous weight, because it suggested Diana had left behind words only meant for her eldest son, Prince William, the future king. Alongside the letters was a chilling set of recordings on old cassette tapes. One tape carried Camilla's voice, discussing media strategies and mentioning an August plan just weeks before Diana's tragic crash in Paris. The timing made the discovery even more disturbing. The files inside the vault suggested that not only did Camilla know of Diana's struggles, but she may have been part of efforts to control or silence her. Whether or not the items were enough to prove anything, their existence was enough to reignite suspicions and conspiracies that had surrounded Diana's death for decades. To fully understand why Camilla might have guarded these secrets so fiercely, one must revisit a key moment from the late 1980s. Diana herself once spoke about the pain of her marriage in her famous 1995 BBC interview, where she said, "There were 3 of us in this marriage. So it was a bit crowded." But even before that interview, Diana had confronted Camilla directly. At a party in 1987, hosted by Camilla's sister, Diana suddenly realized Charles and Camilla were missing. With the help of her bodyguard, she found them together in the basement. Instead of avoiding the issue, Diana confronted Camilla with raw honesty. She reportedly told her, "Please don't treat me like an idiot. I know what's going on." Camilla, caught off guard, could only reply with strange words, "You have 2 wonderful boys." That moment showed Diana's courage, but also exposed the emotional wounds that never healed. The discovery of letters in Camilla's safe, years later, added new weight to that confrontation. It suggested that Diana had left behind a hidden record of her pain, and perhaps evidence of the betrayal she lived through. For Camilla, keeping these items locked away may have been a way of keeping Diana's shadow under control. But the safe could not remain closed forever. Once the news of the safe's contents leaked, Buckingham Palace went into crisis mode. Lawyers rushed to prepare statements, and officials tried to downplay the discoveries by calling them historical artifacts. But the public was not convinced. The photograph of the trunk marked DS spread quickly across newspapers and social media. Many saw it as proof that Diana's personal items had been hidden for decades. Crowds demanded answers, and old wounds were reopened. Prince William was said to have received the sealed letter left for him, though what it contained remains private. Meanwhile, the media tore apart every detail of the tapes and documents, speculating on whether they hinted at a larger conspiracy. Camilla disappeared from public view for several days, while King Charles tried to keep calm, briefing his sons in private, but the damage was done. The monarchy's image, already fragile, was shaken once again. People wondered why Camilla had kept these secrets, and whether the safe contained the missing pieces to questions that had haunted the world since 1997. The story of Queen Camilla's safe is more than a scandal. It is a reminder of how the past never truly disappears, especially when it comes to the British monarchy. For decades, the royal family has worked to project strength, unity, and tradition. But every hidden letter, every lost recording, and every rumor from Diana's time still casts a shadow over the crown. The safe's discovery did more than expose hidden belongings. It reopened debates about trust, betrayal, and secrecy within the royal household. If Diana's private words and evidence had been kept hidden for so long, what else might be buried behind palace walls? Could there be more secrets waiting to come out? For Camilla, the safe was meant to be a shield, but instead, it became a weapon that threatened to undo years of careful rebuilding. For William and Harry, it was another painful reminder of their mother's struggles. For the public, it was confirmation that the monarchy is not just a symbol of tradition, but also a place where shadows of the past are never far away. Whether the royal family can survive another scandal of this scale remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the contents of Camilla's safe have forever changed the way people look at the crown. Inside the walls of Clarence House, where Queen Camilla has lived for years, there was always a mystery that staff whispered about, but never dared to question. In one corner of her private study stood a massive iron safe, tall and heavy, with a dial etched with the year 1996. Unlike other pieces of furniture, this safe was never touched, cleaned, or moved. Even the most trusted servants were told to stay away from it. Many wondered why it was there and what secrets it might hold, but Camilla's strict orders kept everyone away. Not even King Charles dared to open it. For over 2 decades, it remained sealed, as if protecting a truth too dangerous for daylight. Some staff thought it contained jewels or royal gifts, but others whispered it hid something darker: letters, tapes, and documents from the past that could destroy reputations. In 2025, during routine palace renovations, builders accidentally uncovered a small clue to the safe's code. That single mistake changed everything. The moment the safe was cracked open, those present turned pale. What they saw was not treasure, but a collection of hidden letters, secret tapes, and strange documents that seemed to link Queen Camilla to events long buried in royal history. The story of the safe did not begin in 2025. It started years earlier. In the late 1990s, when Princess Diana's death shocked the world, after her passing in 1997, many of Diana's personal belongings disappeared without explanation. Some close to the palace claimed her letters, jewelry, and private recordings were quietly taken away, never to be seen again. Rumors grew that these items had been hidden in Camilla's safe. This theory gained strength when several staff members recalled Diana's belongings being removed under special orders shortly after her death. At the time, people believed it was part of a normal security measure, but the unexplained loss left questions hanging in the air. What made the whispers stronger was Camilla's strange obsession with guarding the safe. Servants who worked in Clarence House remembered her reaction when a repairman once drilled too close to the wall near the vault. She was furious and banned him from ever returning to the palace. Even during renovations, contractors were warned not to touch the area around the safe. It was not just about privacy, it was as if she was guarding a secret that could never be allowed out. Over time, the whispers turned into myths, with some saying the safe was more dangerous than a box of jewels. It was a box of truth that could shatter the monarchy's carefully built image. When workers in 2025 discovered an old slip of paper tucked inside a wall during palace repairs, curiosity grew. The paper carried faded initials CS, Camilla's maiden initials, and a sequence of numbers that looked like part of a code. Alongside it was an old matchstick stamped with the year 1996, the same year engraved on the safe's dial. That small clue was enough to tempt one of the supervisors. Late at night, when the palace was empty, he turned the dial with shaky hands. To his surprise, the safe clicked open. But what he found was not just an empty vault. Behind the door was a hidden chamber, cold and preserved as if untouched for decades. Inside stood trunks, crates, and glass cases, each carrying items that did not appear in any official royal records. Among them was a trunk marked with the initials DS, which many believed stood for Diana Spencer, Princess Diana's maiden name. The sight left the man stunned. He quickly closed the safe and reported it, but the discovery could not be hidden for long. A worker later leaked a photograph of the vault to the press, and soon the world knew that Camilla's safe had held something much larger than anyone had imagined. In early 2025, the royal household was shaken by an event that seemed straight out of a thriller novel. Deep inside Clarence House, the longtime residence of Queen Camilla, a secret safe that had been locked for decades was finally opened. What? started as routine palace renovations, quickly turned into a storm of intrigue and whispers when workers stumbled upon clues that led them to the mysterious vault. Rumors had floated among staff for years about this hidden safe, but no one truly knew what lay inside. Some thought it was nothing more than an old storage box filled with family documents, while others believed it contained private treasures too sensitive for public eyes. However, the reality turned out to be far more disturbing. When the heavy iron door finally creaked open, those who stood nearby reportedly turned pale. Instead of gold or jewels, the safe revealed letters, tapes, and documents that hinted at deep royal secrets, some stretching back to the 1990s. It was as though a time capsule of betrayal and hidden truths had been unearthed, waiting to strike at the monarchy's carefully polished image. This discovery didn't just shock the staff, it sent waves of suspicion and fear across the entire royal household, raising questions that no one was ready to answer. The safe, that no one dared to touch, the safe inside Clarence House, was no ordinary lockbox. Standing tall and industrial in design, it looked more like a bank vault than something found in a royal residence. Installed in 1996, the same year that carried so much turbulence for the monarchy, the safe had always been kept under Queen Camilla's strict protection. Even King Charles, according to whispers, rarely mentioned it and seemed to avoid the topic altogether. Palace staff recalled stories of Camilla becoming uncharacteristically angry when anyone got too close to it. And there were even reports of workers being dismissed simply for asking too many questions. For years, the safe was hidden behind clever wall paneling, invisible to the public during tours of Clarence House. To many insiders, this secrecy was more than privacy, it was obsession. Why guard something so fiercely for almost 3 decades? Some believed it contained love letters from Charles and Camilla's early affair, while others whispered that items belonging to Princess Diana, which mysteriously disappeared after her tragic death in 1997, might have been locked away in it. Whatever the truth, the safe had become a dark shadow over Clarence House, a silent reminder that not all royal history is written in public view. The turning point came during a renovation project in 2025. When workers accidentally uncovered a small leather pouch tucked behind an old picture frame. Inside was a slip of paper containing a cryptic code and the faded initials CS, believed to stand for Camilla's maiden name, Camilla Shand. Alongside it lay a matchstick marked with the year 1996, as though preserved deliberately. At first, the discovery was brushed aside as another odd piece of royal trivia, but the code seemed to gnaw at curiosity. Eventually, a brave foreman tested the numbers on the vault's dial. To everyone's shock, the lock responded. When the heavy door swung open, it revealed not a simple safe, but an entrance to a concealed chamber, perfectly preserved with climate control and filled with locked trunks, dusty files, and strange artifacts. In the center of the chamber was a steamer trunk marked with the initials DST4. Those who knew royal history, these initials immediately raised eyebrows. Many wondered if it stood for Diana Spencer. The realization sent chills down the workers' spines. What lay hidden here was clearly never meant for the public eye, and it carried with it the weight of history, scandal, and perhaps even conspiracy. Among the most startling discoveries were personal letters written in Princess Diana's recognizable handwriting. These letters reportedly spoke of her pain, her struggles within the royal family, and her suspicions about plots surrounding her. Some were addressed to Charles, some to her sons William and Harry, and others directly to Camilla. Their tone was emotional and raw, revealing the heartbreak of a woman who felt trapped in a gilded cage. One letter, sealed and marked simply for William, when ready, stood out as a particularly haunting piece, suggesting that Diana left behind a personal message meant only for her eldest son at a time of his choosing. Alongside these letters was a chilling cassette tape labeled Call. When played, it allegedly revealed Camilla's voice in conversation about media strategies, with cryptic phrases hinting at efforts to control public opinion in the late 1990s. The most disturbing part was its date, August 10, 1997, weeks before Diana's tragic accident in Paris. These items, if authentic, were not just historical relics. They were potential evidence of secrets the monarchy had buried for years, capable of reopening wounds that